Welcome to the I'm Perfectly Divine podcast, a place for the strong, sensitive, spiritual seeker to recognize the perfection of your human journey as a pathway to remembering your spiritual worlds through proven and grounded frameworks that support you to live in the wholeness you already are. For over the past 2 decades, I have supported people from all around the world, as well as Fortune 500 companies, to dissolve the divisions within them and live with greater empowerment and love. This podcast is an exploration of the paradoxes that befuddle us as we live our lives being both human and divine. Together, you and I, along with other experts, will navigate integrating psychology and spirituality, the divine feminine and the divine masculine, the darkness and the light, to create greater sacred union from within. I believe through your remembering that you are innately divine, that you will allow yourself to more openly shine. So let's get to it, because your unique light is needed more than ever. Hello and welcome back, my strong, sensitive, spiritual, wise ones. Here we are back with another episode of I'm Perfectly Divine. And this episode is all about why you aren't feeling better from a spiritual perspective. So I came up with a list of 5 of the top reasons that I see when I work with others, what is inhibiting them from really tapping into their aliveness, their expansiveness, their joy, their fulfillment, and so forth. And really why you aren't feeling the way you want to, despite some of the efforts and energies you may be putting towards trying to do just that. So let's get into it with reason number 1, which is you are avoiding your negative feelings. And I've touched upon this. So what has happened is that we still have these beliefs that our negative feelings are bad. And this can go way back for us in our families of origin, where feelings weren't allowed to be expressed. And again, with judgments based on religion, that when we express our negative feelings, that it's bad. And the big piece that we're talking about is that there's a huge difference between just allowing your negative feelings to explode on others and not take responsibility for them. That is exactly why negative feelings have gotten a bad rap, versus what it means to consciously receive and work with your negative feelings. But this whole history that we have with negative feelings, and especially for women, because for women, you have in our history, we have literally been locked up and institutionalized because of our expression of negative feelings. And so there is this historical tendency not to share them. And for males, it is still taboo for men to express a lot of emotion. Now, many men, our healthy masculine expression is coming forward, and I'm so grateful for that, where there is this more expansiveness, and especially in younger generations, it's like, hey, I'm human and I get to experience these feelings as well. But in the past, for men, I mean, the only emotion you could express was anger or frustration. And so it's really understanding that we have these beliefs, we have these notions still that they're bad, they make us weak, or we've bought into, as a spiritual person, that spiritual people aren't allowed to show emotion. It's good vibes only. And so that has been a big piece that people have been sharing, that we don't want other people's negative vibes impacting your vibes, but your frequency, your energetic frequency is going to be clearer. It's going to be more expansive when you work with and utilize these negative feelings for greater self-gnosis, greater self-understanding. And that's why they are here. So we all know that the good vibes only can become toxic positivity, where we just cannot handle anything that's negative, and that's not resilience. That's not being in our power. That's not being authentic to life and our human experiences. And so we really want to recognize that there's a better way. Yes, of course, we want to feel those that great energy frequency. So those intentions are good, but the path to get there is not by resisting any aspect of ourself. So it's just remembering on our spiritual path, why on earth would the divine give us negative feelings if there wasn't a purpose to them? I promise you, they are not here to burden you. They're here to support you in your expansiveness of love and remembering your truth and remembering your connection with the divine. Okay. So I promise you, avoiding them is not the answer. Now, let's move on to the second piece or reason why I see that you aren't feeling better, you aren't feeling the way that you want to. And one of the big reasons is you aren't going toward your emotions continuously. So I shared in a previous episode that we have approximately 27 different emotions every hour. Now, I don't want you feeling like you have to be attuned to every one of those emotions. The stronger the emotion, however, the more important it is for you to listen to it and attend to it. And unfortunately, I think we've gotten this idea that, hey, I'm doing the inner work if I go to therapy once a week or once a month or whatever we're doing. Yes, but what about all the rest of the hours to your life? And it's the same with meditation. I am so happy that we can go into meditative states and we can bring in the energetic frequencies that we want to feel and we want to experience. So important. And what are you doing with the rest of your time that you're awake, that you're living your human experience? And that's where I want you to feel empowered, that you know what to do when these emotions arise, because hopefully the majority of the time you are living your life. You're not in meditative states for 24 hours or 20 hours or whatever, because we've been put here to experience our humanity again so we can remember our divinity. And now we've got to be willing to say, when these negative emotions arise, it's an invitation to go inward. And that invitation is sacred. And we've done just the opposite. We've been told it makes us weak, wrong, too sensitive. And it's sacred work to help you remember your wholeness and feel and experience that connection with the divine. So part of the problem I'm seeing is that we just don't know what to do with our negative feelings besides sit with them. And I agree that is exhausting. And so I feel bad when I hear people that are like, yeah, I'm going through something and I know I just got to sit with my feelings. You, our feelings are there to do so much more than for you to just sit with them. I'm glad you're not avoiding them. So back to problem number one, avoiding them. You're not doing that. So honor yourself for that. But my whole mission is to really help people recognize that there is a reason for each and every feeling that we have, and it has unique guidance there supporting us, trying to help us get back to the states that we want and help us find that congruency within ourselves. So one example of this was before I really deepened my connection with the divine feminine, I would periodically get sad for seemingly no reason, right? It was like there wasn't certain thoughts. I know a lot of people believe there's these thoughts that we're tied into. That is part of the time why we will experience negative feelings, but not all of the time, because part of the time, the other part of the time, there is this there's a spiritual reason. There's a reason in realms that we aren't connected to in our day-to-day that's trying to get through to us. And so one of the ways that the other realm will work with us is to support us to become sad without seemingly any reason, because sadness slows us down. Sadness will start to help us take a step back. Now, you will find, usually when you take a step back, that there are some other aspects in how you're going about your life that may want to shift, that may help you see, oh, that's not in alignment. But what I'll say is, as I deepened my connection with the divine feminine, and the divine feminine is our willingness to go into the darkness, go into the womb, go into that place of fertile soil that feels like nothingness, emptiness, that can scare us. But in that, we are silent. We learn to be with all aspects of ourselves. And now that that's a daily practice, my emotions don't have to come in, especially with sadness, to help me slow down, because I'm already slowing down, because it's a part of my practice that I know is important to be able to listen and be guided by inner wisdom and go beyond just what the mind or what the ego is telling me to do, but really be guided by this space. I call it the womb space, this inner knowing space that we all have, that we can connect to in the silence. And so this was an important piece for me. But it's important to remember each emotion has its purpose, has its reasons for connecting with you. And we want to just be able to be with that emotion and start to understand what the loving guidance that is trying to come through. And again, this is something that I love to teach, because I like to give you more of a direct path, if that's helpful for you, because these emotions are guiding us in specific ways, and you won't have to feel that intensity of that emotion so much when you receive its medicine, right? It's that feeling, it provides the antidote, so you're not feeling that anymore, and you go naturally, authentically into those feeling states that you want to. But even if you don't know the language of your negative feelings, you know the language of love within your heart, and you can tap into that to support you in your own understanding. All right, let's move on to reason number 3, why you aren't feeling better, why you aren't feeling the way that you want to, is because you are choosing others over yourself. This is when we people please because we're afraid to disappoint, or we go towards others' values rather than our own values because of a deeper need to be loved. And so our need to be loved is human. We of course need to feel love. And the only way you are going to be able to receive the love that you want to feel is if you give it to yourself first. And so many of us, and I have done this myself in my own life, I wanted someone else to affirm to me that I was lovable. I wanted them to show me that I was lovable. And the thing is, when we put that on somebody else, we're disempowering ourselves, and it will never be enough. They can try to fill you and fill you and fill you, and because you reject your own lovability, you won't be able to receive it. And so it's not a good feeling from either part of the relationship. And it's really a calling for you to deepen your self-love. So if you see yourself in those people-pleasing tendencies where you don't want to disappoint, it's understanding that there's a part of you that's still trying to twist and contort yourself to be enough, to be loved. But that twisted and contorted version of you that's trying to receive love won't feel loved for you, because you're manipulating yourself according to what you think others want. And so even if they praise you for bending and twisting and contorting yourself or doing what they want you to do, you also aren't going to feel the love that way either, right? Because it's not the authentic you, and what you want to be loved for is your authentic self. So again, to get there, it's about learning to love ourselves. And guess what? Your negative feelings are going to arise to give you specific guidance on how you can better love yourself. They're helping you to work through the blind spots of where you aren't able to give yourself that love. So this is what excites me about negative emotions, is that it's really going to help awaken us to get out of these patterns if we use them as our allies. All right. The fourth way that's a reason why you aren't feeling the way that you want to is that when the negative feelings start getting intense and they become overwhelming, there's a desire from you to run from them. We call it taking the edge off. We're doing a little escaping here and there. we don't want to deal with them, right? And so what I invite you to recognize is that when you take the edge off, what you're really doing is you are ending, temporarily at least, ending the possibility for a breakthrough to occur, for deeper understanding to occur. So I get it. I feel overwhelmed. I still have the habit when I am tired and I won't give myself a break, that I'll just scroll. I'll just go down these news rabbit holes. I don't allow myself to scroll on social media anymore. That's how much of a thing this has been for me. But instead of letting myself take a break, I start scrolling. And now that is my indicator that I'm tired. I just need a break, and to give myself a break. But my ego's sitting there saying, nope, we're still in working hours. You need to go back to work. And so it's not just alcohol and drugs and these ways that really can alter our perceptions temporarily to take us away from that feeling. We can numb ourselves, gaming, scrolling, you name it. There's just so many ways. And so it's understanding that it is our tendency to try to escape when we're feeling overwhelmed, but this is the opportunity to really be able to give yourself what you need and do the inner work. That's the calling. That is the calling when you are overwhelmed, to pull out the journal and to really look at, what am I feeling? Why aren't I allowing myself this? It's a sense of worthiness, right? If I can't take a break from work because my ego is saying you got to do this and you want to do this and this is part of your purpose and la la la, but I don't want to do it at a place where I'm exhausted. That's not loving and nurturing. And so still recognizing those places where that sense of love and worthiness isn't fully connected to my truth and to the divine, that's our opportunity. And so that's what we want to be able to recognize, is that when I'm looking to take the edge off, do something that takes away from feeling that sense of overwhelm, we want to do it in a way that's conscious. We want to be able to give yourself a break, to rest, to take a walk in nature, but we don't want to get into those patterns of numbing ourselves. Now, listen, I like a good Netflix break as much as anyone else. Give yourself that hour on Netflix and then do the journaling, right? Like, it's not either or, and Netflix in itself isn't bad, but if we see yourself, still on the couch 3 hours later, there's probably something that you're avoiding, and that's exactly where you want to go in if you want to feel more of the emotional states that you want to feel, okay? So otherwise, what happens is that we find ourselves in this pattern, in this vicious cycle. So we have these feelings that come up and we feel overwhelmed, and we're just like, I don't want to deal with them. I don't want to deal with them. And we can do that here and there. But if this is your pattern, what you're basically saying to yourself is, screw you. You're too much for me. I can't handle you. And we separate. We create a division, not only with our divinity, but with our authentic part of ourself, our truth that's trying to get through to us to help us make our life better. So then we turn to whatever our escape mechanism is. And because we have ignored the negative feeling, we haven't taken the medicine, we haven't received the antidote, that feeling and the reason why it got triggered to begin with has no other option but to get louder in order to get your attention, for you to again decide, am I going to go towards this feeling or am I going to avoid it? Am I going to do the inner work that it's calling me to do, to listen so it's helping me remember my wholeness? Or am I just going to push it away and say it's too much? And we get to choose that every time a negative feeling arises, every time we feel overwhelmed. Overwhelm is a choice, and it's a state that we are choosing. And I know that's hard to hear, and I still get overwhelmed. And then I realize, what is the whole dynamic story that my ego wants me to buy into, that takes me away from my power, that takes me away from my truth, that takes me away from my divinity, that is telling me the divine has got this with me. When we are working together, there's no limits, right? And so it's recognizing the ways that our ego wants to chip away at us, make us believe that we are powerless when truly we have so much power. Now, the last state is the most challenging state of why you may not be feeling better, why you may not be feeling the way you want to, and that is because you are in the process of a sacred death and rebirth. The death is not physical, it's emotional, it's around your ego. And so it is so sacred because it is such an intense calling to go inward. And so if you think of the hero's journey, where you have to go through all these challenges in the external world to really step into your power. This is the heroine's journey, where you are going inward and inward and inward, not to collect on the external your power, but on the internal you are shedding to reclaim your power. And so this is the reclamation of the aspects that we have bought into that separate us from our truth. It is a powerful time. It is an intense time. This is a time where you may feel like it's not worth living. You don't know why you're here, and this is all normal. Now, just because I say that it's normal does not mean you should not get help. Please get help. This time is so intense. Preferably you're getting help with both a spiritual and emotional lens, but get any help because it's intense. It's there to rock your world, because the way you have been walking your path needs to change. It needs this evolution for you to feel that expression that's calling you from your heart, and to feel that connection with the divine in a way where you are feeling your best. So again, it's sacred. It's a phase. You will not end up the rest of your life like this unless you find yourself in patterns where you're just not willing to address it. So that's why I'm saying, please address it. And you're not alone. I truly believe we go through these ego clearings, especially if you're sensitive and spiritual, multiple times. And so, and there tends to be at least one big one that takes a while. But it's just remembering, just like the moon goes through its phases, you're going through a phase where it's the dark side of the moon. You can't see the light, but it's still there. And it's a sacred calling to go inward. And as you do, and you attend to yourself, you attend to your feelings, you nurture yourself, you find love despite all this emptiness and disconnection that you feel, you will resurrect anew in a way that is miraculous. And I want that for you. I'm excited by what the divine, how the divine wants to express that with you. So I hope this supports you to normalize ways uh, as to why you might not be feeling better or not feeling the way that you want to, and as well to recognize that there's a path. There is a path to get you to remembering your truth, and this is all here for us to support us. And I know it can feel like it like there is no path, but there is. And so remember, there is nothing to prove, just to remember, even when you aren't feeling yourself, even when you aren't feeling how you want to feel, that there is still nothing to prove. There's nothing to fix. You are not broken. It's just remembering and recollecting your truth while shedding the layers that stand between you and the divine. You are divine perfection as you are. You are whole. You are love. I love you so much. I'm so grateful we're on this journey together. I hope this supports you, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.